seen the fights. Johnny's 58, chasing the lights. Both had battles that brought them low, but they found a way to steal the show. Health concerns were weighing them down till they found a path that turned it around. Carnivore diet, they took the leap, finding strength in the promises they keep. Now they're living wild, living free, healing body and mind. Just wait and see. Tune into the truth every single week. Real talk with Brian and Johnny. That's the peak. 8 p.m. on YouTube. Gather near. Uplifting vibes. Let's give a cheer.
All right. So we are live. During the intro, I lost Johnny. He was here. So he should be here in a minute. We'll see if he can get reconnected. But hey, it's been like a month since y'all have seen me. So I'm glad that I am finally back here. And while we're waiting for Johnny to get reconnected, I'm going to start checking some of the chat here. Granny Boo 2 is here. Hello. Rick, good to see you, Rick. Quack, quack. Papa Carnivore is also here. So I see we got a few other people on right now. If you have any questions for us, put a capital Q in the front of whatever your question is going to be and put it at the beginning, and you can do that. Our topic tonight is going to be about why people are hesitant to do the carnivore diet. That's gonna be like our main topic. Obviously, we'll talk about some other stuff as well. Hopefully, Johnny will be back here in a minute. I'm not sure what happened. It looks like he's almost back, so I can bring him in just a second here.
You got me, Brian?
Here we go. Hello. So I can't see you. I can hear you.
Yeah.
I heard you.
Technical difficulties. I'll get it straight here in just 1 second. I'm coming. I promise. Bear with me, folks. This live TV. What do you do, right? Live TV.
Yeah. All right. All right. So I was telling everybody what our main topic is going to be tonight. It's good to be back on with you. It's been a while, huh? It's been like I think 4 weeks since I have been on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great to be back on. Finally, hopefully my life is settling down a little bit, slowing down a little. So that's good. So let's see here. So hesitancy for starting the carnivore diet. It's kind of like our main topic that we wanted to talk about, right?
Right.
And you picked this topic, thought you had good ideas with it. So I'm going to let you kind of start with it. And then I got something that I'm going to bring up with it too. And we can just kind of go from there. But go ahead and get us started.
Sure. Sounds great, Brian. Well, first and foremost, I'm so glad to have you back. I know you've been very, very busy. Congratulations to you and your wife and your daughter and future son-in-law. That's awesome. They graduated college. Looks like they're buying a house and they're engaged to get married. So kudos to you and your wife and his family. And I'm so happy for all you guys. And God bless you for doing all you did to help them get their life going there. All right. Having said that, what has struck me lately, this has been on my mind a lot lately, Brian, is that I think about how good I feel. I watch your videos. I know the experience that you've had in Papa Carnivore and all the people that are in our community. And it's mind-boggling to me why people would be hesitant to at least try this. Unless the assumption is that we're all lying or we're all making this up. People that are, especially if they're over 40, 45, and they're starting to have those aches and pains and, the wear and tear of their body's starting to get to them, or they have mental health issues, and there's so much I would be hesitant to try is got the cat jumping on there. The only thing I can think of is they don't believe it's real. I guess the assumption is we're all making this up or lying. But just your thoughts on what would be an impediment for somebody to at least try this, especially if they know people in their lives that have done carnivore and have turned their life around so much. What do you think would be the rationale for not at least giving it a try?
Okay, so that works in great with the first thing that I wanted to bring up. I think first of all, like for me, for instance, when I first started the carnivore diet, I had to get to that point that I just felt like I was at rock bottom and I needed to do something. And it wasn't necessarily because of carnivore. It was just to do anything at all for myself. Like
Right.
before, I was just in self-pity and not really doing anything to improve myself. And then I hit rock bottom, I guess. And that was what really was the difference. And I've heard that from a lot of people. But here's something I want to bring up. So let me just put this out there. Johnny, if I told you today that the earth was flat, you'd probably tell me I'm crazy, right?
Right.
I mean, I know there's some people that are flat earthers, but for the most part, and if we go back 300 years and we had the same conversation and I told you that the earth was flat, you would agree with me, right?
Yeah.
Now, the reason why you agree with me back then and you think I'm crazy now is because the general consensus from all the experts that you hear for years and years back then was the earth was flat, and now is that the earth is round, right? It's not like when you were born, you just knew the earth was flat or the earth was round. You had to hear it, and you heard it over time for years and years. So people have heard for years and years that saturated fat is bad for you. It's going to give you heart disease. It's going to give you diabetes. It's going to kill you over time, right? They've been told red meat particular, you need to stay away from because of saturated fat and so forth. So when people are told that for so long, that's what they believe. And it's very hard to get them to change their ways. Usually what gets you to change is some sort of a leap of faith, or you've hit rock bottom and you're just desperate to try something. So that's why I think most people are completely hesitant. And I'll tell you, like, even with losing, like in the first year that I was carnivore, I lost 85 pounds. My health improved tremendously and so forth. But I had people that they were kind of somewhat close to me. If I told them exactly what I was eating, what I was doing with the carnivore diet, they'd be like, you're going to kill yourself doing that. You're going to have a heart attack. I know, like, Rick likes to talk about the heart attack, right? His heart attack diet that he coined it. But people would tell me that, and it would be like, you realize I just lost a bunch of weight. I feel healthier than I've felt in decades. I can do things that I couldn't do before. Before, I actually felt like I didn't know how much longer before I was going to die. And you're telling me that this diet is going to do that to me. But that's, what people have been told for years and years from the so-called experts. So that's the problem. We got to figure out how to get people to realize that the earth isn't flat anymore.
Right.
Right. That's my soapbox with it.
So I agree with you in theory on what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense, but I guess I'm coming from a little bit of a different angle. If you walked me to the edge of the earth and I could see that the earth was flat, and I looked over there, I said, oh my gosh, he's right. The earth is flat. I can see it for myself. Then it'd be tough for somebody to convince me the earth wasn't flat. I'm taking somebody's word for it. So when people hear on the internet or on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or whatever, hey, I did carnivore and I'm doing great. I get that. You didn't know that person. You're not going to know them in the future. It's just a video you saw online. I guess this is like people that you work with, maybe people in your family, people that you're close to that remember you before you started carnivore and when you were at that rock bottom spot, and they've seen you go from point A to point B where you are now. And they've seen, like, Brian, I mean, I hate to bring me into this, but 2.5 years ago, I used a cane and a walker, and now I run sprints. And there are people in my life, siblings, cousins, nieces, nephews, spouse, everybody that has watched that happen. A true miracle, going from almost immobile, almost wheelchair bound, to running sprints, jumping rope. And yet to try to get any of these people to try it, I don't know. Like if you told me the stove was hot, I may or may not believe you. But if I put my hand on the stove and it burns my hand, I say, wow, he's right. That stove is hot. I can feel the heat coming off it. That gives you, you know what I'm saying? It's more than just somebody saying it or seeing a stranger on the internet. But there are people that I work with. There are people in my life, and I'm sure you have this too. Everybody that's in the chat or will watch this in replay knows people that have been really impressed with the change they've made since they went carnivore. But they're like, nah, it's just not for me. And I was wondering if people maybe deep down might think they don't deserve to feel this good. Maybe I don't deserve that. It's great for Brian, but it's not right for me because I ate terrible. I drank alcohol. I smoked. I had a very sedentary lifestyle. That won't work for me. Or maybe I don't deserve to be as happy and as vibrant as that person is. And that's the only thing I can really put on it is why when somebody has visual evidence, visual proof right in front of them of another person, somebody that they know, completely drastically improving their life, are they still hesitant? And I get, I think some things people say, well, I can't afford it. We see this a lot in your Facebook group and other Facebook groups. Well, gosh, I have to work 3 jobs to afford to eat meat every day. Not realizing that if you eat only meat and eggs, you're not buying chips and soda and ketchup and barbecue sauce and all this other stuff. I think maybe they don't understand that it's actually not more expensive. For me now, it's actually become less expensive because I eat so much less. And I eat less often and I eat less per time than when I eat pizza and donuts, So that's one thing, it's too expensive. I can't afford it. And then they might think my problem, like I have, really bad knee pain and there's nothing in your diet that's going to fix knee pain. I need to go to the hospital and get my knee replaced without even considering that people have, like you're talking about your shoulder on your video today I watched, most people would have assumed I'm just going to have to go get rotator cuff surgery. And if you guys haven't seen Brian's video from today, please go watch it. It's great. But you see people that have all these physical afflictions, we'll say, and they see you get better without the surgery or without taking Advil and Aleve and all this stuff every day. And they still are hesitant to even try it for, like, well, I can't believe that people won't try this for just 30 days. 90 days may seem like a daunting commitment, but in my opinion, if I could get somebody to try this for 30 days, by the end of the 30 days, if they were relatively disciplined with it, they would want to do another 30 and then another 30, much like you did and much like I did. So that's just kind of where I'm coming from there. I mean, I don't know how to impress people more than showing them all the doctors, all the lab results, looking at people that they know, like you and me, that where we were 3-4 years ago and where we are now. Anyway, that's just kind of what was on my heart,
I think, you're definitely right about the way that people think. Like, I know people close to me that they look and they say, like, it's worked for you, but it won't work for me because of this or that, or I can't do that. I can't cut carbs out because I like them too much, or I have this problem, so I can't do that because of this, right? Or whatever it is. Like there's lots of different things. And I think what it kind of comes down to is a lot of people, until they commit to themselves and that they really need to do something about themselves, they're just going to keep making excuses.
Right.
I like this that Rick said here. I think they are just accustomed to duck food and want to waddle around and quack. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's it. Like, people, it's hard, even for me now, 3 years on the carnivore diet. If I'm around a bunch of sweet food, it's hard for me to not go and eat it. And then if I do eat it, that just starts the cravings up, and then you want to eat it again, right? And a lot of people, they're just so used to eating those foods. And like, I've had that before for people. They're like, there's no way I could do that. I like this food too much, or I don't like meat enough to eat meat all the time. So they use these different excuses like that, you know. I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. But I feel like a lot of people, they're just going to use the excuses until they get to that point that they feel like they really need to do something. Cynthia's here.
Hey, Cynthia.
Hello
Good
to
to see you
Cynthia.
tonight. Hey, Rick. I didn't mean to miss you out, Rick. And at Papa Carnivore, that's Peter, right?
Yeah.
Papa Carnivore.
Yes, he is
Yeah.
here.
Hey, Peter. Yeah.
Up towards the beginning, Granny from your
Granny.
channel.
Granny Boo, nice to
And
see
he's
you.
here. I think that was everybody. Yeah, that's everybody that's been in the chat. At least there's more people online I can see, but that's all that's chatting. So
You got to smash the like button.
Quack.
Make sure you hit that like button for us.
It's funny. I was looking before we started, and so we use StreamYard here to do this, right? And I was looking at the media assets here, and they have background music, and one of the things is Feeding the Ducks. Is the name of it. I'm afraid to click on it though, because it might be copyrighted. I don't want to mess up the video.
All right. Yeah, they'll cut us
So
off.
I don't know. Yeah, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Feeding the ducks. Maybe we'll do a live stream one time where we don't have anything monetized and we can just play it and see what it sounds like. Yeah. Charlie's here too.
Hey, Charlie.
Did I see him already before? Maybe not. No, I think that's the first time he's commented. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Charlie. How do these conversations go with your spouses if they're not already doing carnivore? Do you want to get started with that, and then I can add in?
Yeah, I'll go first. First of all, Charlie, my wife and I have been married 32 years. She is, I know this is going to sound cliche. Don't take my man card away, but she literally is the air that I breathe. I love my wife more than anything. I mean, she is my best friend. She's everything I've ever wanted in a wife. She checks every box. She doesn't do this diet. She thinks I'm crazy for doing this diet. She doesn't want to hear about it. She's sick of hearing about it. She doesn't watch my videos unless I turn them on in front of her. She doesn't watch these podcasts, so I'm pretty safe here. But I don't know. And so I guess the beginning of the conversation, if you heard me talking to Brian about people who have watched you literally completely change your life and still don't think it would be of value to them, maybe she might be one of the people that I had in mind, you know. But it's not just her. I have people that I work with. I have friends. I have 2 siblings. I have a brother-in-law. I have, all these people that have watched me dramatically change my life. And for whatever reason, they just believe it's not for them. But maybe to Brian's point, and this is specific to my spouse, my wife, who, like I say, I'm not going to throw her under the bus because she is absolutely my best friend. And we've been together 33 years, married 32 years. She hadn't hit rock bottom. My wife, considering the fact that, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret, she's a little bit older than me. I'm 58. She's already past 58. But she gets around really well. I mean, she has mobility, flexibility. Overall, she feels good. She's active with the grandkids. She hasn't hit rock bottom. Now, before I went carnivore, if you know my story, I had really, really bad plantar fasciitis, really high blood pressure, really bad arthritis in my right hip, bone-on-bone arthritis. So I was pretty much at rock bottom. But I will say this. Now, check this out, Brian. You'll like this. We went to, I live in North Carolina. Well, I have my best friend from high school, actually from elementary school, Joey. He and his wife are visiting. They live on the other side of the country, and they were fortunate enough they could come spend a week with me and my wife here at home. And it's so great to catch up with my best friend of 45 years. We went to Western North Carolina yesterday. There's a train that you can ride. It's an old-timey train, and it goes through the mountains, and they give you a tour and tell you about the area. It's up near Cherokee, North Carolina. Well, it's a guided tour, so there's somebody on your car with a speaker, and they tell you all the different stuff. And the lady was fantastic. She did 30 years in the airlines, and then she's been working on this train thing for 8 years. Well, after the train ride was over, we got off and we were standing there talking to her. And she said she's starting to have beginning signs of dementia. Now, she's probably 60, 61, somewhere in there, maybe 62. Looked like she was relatively healthy, but she's already recognizing signs of dementia. And my wife said, have you heard of the carnivore diet? I was blown away. I was blown away that my wife mentioned to somebody else, hey, look into this. It can help you. It can, if nothing else, it can slow down the progression, maybe even stop you from having dementia. And here's why. And so it sounded like me coming out of my wife's mouth. She was talking, saying the things that I would say. And the lady was really glad to hear it. She was receptive. She said, I'm going to look into that. I've never heard that before. So even though my wife doesn't do it, my wife enjoys her Southern sweet tea. She's a Southern gal. She'd been in the South her whole life. And she still likes sweets and treats and things like that, like 99.9% of Americans do. But she is now starting to talk to other people who are having health issues. Hey, my husband does this. Look into it, because here's the doctors you can look at. So even though I haven't convinced her yet to maybe address her diet and her issues, and she don't have a lot of issues, that's the thing. The fact that she is promoting this way of eating to other people because of my lived example was pretty amazing. And if there's anything I could do or say to get her to at least give this a try so she could feel how good I feel, I would do it in a heartbeat. Brian, I didn't mean to get so long-winded there, but that was just a perfect opportunity to share that.
Yeah, no, that's great. That is awesome that your wife did that. So as you know, my wife doesn't do carnivore either. So the conversation has definitely changed over the 3 years. Let's put it that way. When I first started, she wasn't really too thrilled about it, but it was like it's your body, it's your life, whatever type of thing. And then she saw that I started losing weight and I was getting in better shape. I was feeling healthier. Like, a lot of people that have watched my channel know I had AFib, and I would go into episodes and I'd have 2 or 3 episodes a week. And within a few weeks, they were gone. And so I wasn't having any more episodes of AFib. My snoring went away, my back pain, like I couldn't sleep in bed all night. That went away. I was able to sleep in bed all night. So many different health benefits that she kind of got to the point of, well, it's really seemed to work for you. I'm still not sure about it because of cholesterol, and I'm worried that long term that could be bad for you, that type of thing. But she was to that point. And now either she's kind of past that and not concerned anymore, or she's just tired of me talking about why cholesterol is not a problem or whatever. And she just, she's done with that part. But she doesn't do carnivore, and she's never tried. She's always said that, she could try and do like keto or that kind of thing. And I think she's tried a couple times for a little bit keto, but she was the type of person that loves carbs too much to completely give it up. And that's okay. I wish that she would at least do more. Wife, she's not as unhealthy as I was 3 years ago. So she's not rock bottom either or anything and feeling like she's got to do something, so that could potentially be part of it with her as well. I want to catch up here really quick. Rockin' Keto Amy is here.
Hey,
so
Amy.
Hello.
Yeah. Me and her become
And
friends on Facebook. Hey, Amy, glad to see you.
when you were talking about your wife, she said, "Isn't that the best when our spouses who aren't as enthusiastic talk about this lifestyle to other people?"
It was
That
amazing.
really is cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that really is. And I'm assuming this was from the same time period here. Charlie said that is awesome. I mean, that really is cool. Like, you know, I've never really gotten anything like that from my wife. But what's interesting is like my one uncle, he's doing carnivore now, and he's been doing pretty well with it. I think you've probably seen him post a few times in the Facebook group.
Yep.
So he's done pretty well with it. And one of my daughters, it's funny, like if we're having like, let's chat on our phones or something, right? Because everybody's in different parts, different states, and we'll be having like a family chat or something, and somebody will say something, and then I'll point out carnivore or something or whatever, and my one daughter, she'll like chime in because she's more of a somewhat scientific, likes to research and stuff, that kind of stuff, right? And she'll chime in too, like, well, actually, what Dad's saying is right because blah 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 blah. And I think that's pretty cool, even though she doesn't do carnivore herself, but she'll like say those kinds of things. So there's a little bit of that kind of stuff for me. What I have found, at least for me though, is even if people aren't really willing to go to carnivore, they're very accommodating with me. Like they support me. And if I'm gonna, like, for instance, there's been times where 5-6 of us with the family, we're gonna go out to dinner somewhere. Or like more recently when I was down in South Carolina with at my daughter's place. So we're gonna go out to dinner or something, and maybe like her fiance's parents are there too, and so there's a good group of people, and like I might be the only one doing carnivore, but they all want to make sure that we're going to go somewhere that I'm going to be comfortable with my carnivore diet. And that's pretty cool. Like people are really good to support me and so forth. So that's good. I wish more people would try carnivore, but at least they support me.
Yeah.
And Charlie said, tough to divine when rock bottom moments will occur.
Yeah, I think I meant define. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm like that word kind of caught me there with it, but yeah. I mean, you never know,
Yeah.
So Brenda is here. Hello. She says 2 obstacles: grieving for foods, which I did went gluten-free for a few years, and addiction to the foods allows my brain to talk me out of it. I firmly believe in it, but haven't started yet. That's a big thing, right, Johnny? The addiction to those carby foods makes you want to keep eating them, right? Like the food manufacturers make that food as addicting as possible because they want you to keep buying it because they make money. So your mind is getting hardwired to keep wanting to eat that food, and it makes it hard to stop eating that type of food.
Exactly. And Brian, along those same lines, I don't want to give away too much here, but I was raised in a very chaotic household. My parents divorced when I was 10, but prior to the divorce, it was very, very chaotic in my household. Both my parents had issues. They're great now. Like my mom passed away about 7.5 years ago. My dad's still alive, and I love him very much. But I can remember as a child, there was always cookies. We had cookies in the house all the time. And when my parents would start screaming and fighting, I was the youngest of the 3 kids. I would grab a bag of cookies and hide under the bed, and I would eat the cookies, and that was my escape from my reality outside the bedroom there. So those cookies became my best friend. So if you said, hey, you need to give up your best friend because your best friend is hurting you, that grieving process is going to be real. Most people turn to carbs and these highly addictive, highly palatable foods, and it becomes a friend. It becomes an acquaintance. It becomes part of you. And so like when you say, hey, you should try this way of eating, they say, oh, I could never give up cupcakes. I could never give up Oreos. When they say I could never give up, they're basically saying, I couldn't turn my back on this friend that has given me so much comfort over so many years. So that kind of bleeds into what we were talking about on carnivore hesitancy. You truly would have a grieving process of all the foods that you've had in your house. Like for me, for 56 years, we've always had cookies in the house. And so it's become our replacement for true friendship is those sweets, those highly palatable, highly addictive foods that give you that dopamine hit. And so, yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad Brenda said that. It truly is a grieving process. I never considered that, but man, what a true statement.
Yeah, you know, here's an interesting thing. This is a TV show, so it's not real, but it's some reality to it, right? But I remember watching a TV show, and this, I don't know, this is probably 10 years ago, but in the show, something happened that somebody was grieving, somebody died or something like that. And that person, when they got home, the first thing they did, they opened up their freezer, they got out the thing of ice cream, the tub, and they just started eating it out of the tub. And that's exactly that same thing, right? Like the whole grieving thing. And I think we lost Johnny. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
You like popped out of the screen though. Like I could see your background, but okay. But so anyway, so you know, it's the grieving thing again, and whatever is a comfort to you, probably from your childhood or whatever, is what you're going to go for. This person in this TV show, they went for ice cream. So,
and Brian, how many times have you seen on different TV shows where a guy breaks up with a girl and she says, I need ice cream. And that's what they'll do. They'll go home and get an entire tub of ice cream. And so we're almost being trained subconsciously to reach for, you know, sweet things that are going to make you feel better when you go through a rough patch in life, even if it's just a rough day. I need ice cream, or I need wine, or I need chocolate. You know, how many times have you heard, especially women, but men too, say, I just need something chocolate. And it's amazing how we feel like we need that, like that's the answer, without realizing that could be part of the problem.
Yeah. Yep. So Amy says the same thing happened to me. I go to lunch every Friday with friends. Oh, so okay, this is when I was talking about people supporting me. And we used to only go places that have soup and salad. Since I went carnivore, they are now offering to go to breakfast burgers. That's great. Excuse me. That's great. I that's one thing that I've found that I think is pretty awesome. Even if people don't agree that that way of eating is healthy, they still tend to support people, and that's great. One of her friends calls it the caveman diet.
Well, we had to get from the caveman period to here some kind of way. Although we didn't go extinct.
Yeah. Oh, Cynthia says her husband is finally doing carnivore, dirty carnivore. Took a couple years. That's great.
Yep.
Cookies are an enemy to Rick. So Rick is not the cookie monster.
That's not him. And Brian, in defense of my wife, she does now, when we talk about going out to eat, she says, you know, I want to go to X. What can you get at X? Or something that you can get there? And we actually went to a steakhouse one night, and she told the waitress that to tell the manager they need to have more carnivore options for people, which was kind of surprising. She brought it up. I didn't, but that was, you know, 7 or 8 months ago when I really got serious about carnivore again. But yeah, so even in my sister, brother, my extended family, they tend to try to think about me when we're picking a place to eat. But you know, like I know, with the exception of maybe Pizza Hut, there's almost anywhere you can go, you can find something on the menu that'll work in the carnivore diet. So it's not as big of a deal. But heck, even at Pizza Hut, I could order wings, you know, just get much chicken wings. So yeah, but I'm like you. It's good that people are at least conscious of my eating patterns a little bit different than most, and they're wanting to try and accommodate me. That's pretty cool.
So here's my gripe about most restaurants. A lot of them, not going to say all of them, but a lot of them will have different things. Like they might have a gluten-free menu, or they might have a vegan-friendly menu, that kind of stuff. But they're not willing to give you just a meat option, right? Like if, let's say they have a, we'll just say there's like a 14-ounce steak or something that you can get.
Right.
It's going to come with usually like a salad and another side or something. And if you don't want those sides, you don't get discounted price. They don't have like a separate menu for just the steak, right?
Right.
So they're accommodating to a lot of other things, but they aren't as accommodating to people doing the carnivore diet. Now, if you're doing the carnivore diet, you can figure out ways to do things, right? Like there's been situation like where I'll go to boy, I can't remember the place of it now. It's not Outback, which was Texas Roadhouse. I'll go to Texas Roadhouse and I'll get like the egg and the cheese from the salad and just that, and so I'll have that or something. Or you can just say, you know, you don't bring me the sides, I don't want them, and maybe they won't, maybe they still will, I don't know, but you can just not eat them. There's those kinds of options, but they're not really accommodating you. That's you just doing what you need to do, right? So that's kind of my pet peeve about it, I guess, that I wish restaurants would be a little bit more accommodating to people that eat this way.
Hey, Brian, let's expand. Here. Cynthia says that food is a common coping mechanism. And let's expand on that in the context of what we're talking about. I think people may, Cynthia, I'm so glad you brought this up, man. I'm getting an education tonight. Maybe people might think that if they go carnivore, they won't have a coping mechanism. Hey, I need this because this is how I cope with stress, with trauma. And if I go carnivore, I won't have any coping mechanisms. I didn't even consider that, you know. It's easy to be critical of others that won't at least try this, which is kind of where my brain was when we started this podcast 38 minutes ago. But I didn't think about that. You know, if food, sweets, and things like that or comfort foods has been a coping mechanism, and the thought of going carnivore means you're giving up any source of coping to cope with the stress that we are going to go through because life. That's a great point, Cynthia. That's. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. See, so this kind of goes back to like my whole thinking, like before, where I was talking about with the flat earth thing, right? Like when you're born, you don't necessarily know if it's flat or not. Yeah. So when you're born, do you really think as food as for to use it as a coping mechanism for, you know, whatever it is, stress or just loss that you have or whatever? I don't know. Or is that something that our society has just pushed on people? And, you know, that's the thing that I'm wondering out of it. Like, I don't know.
Well, Brian, let's go way back. So when your babies were little, when with 2 daughters and a son, when they were real little, when they were babies and they started crying, they got upset about something, they were having a really rough time, would you offer them strained peas, or would you put a bottle in their mouth, or maybe a cookie or something like that? I mean, I'm guilty of that. When my kids were little and they would be crying or upset, and you try to feed them some strained vegetables or something like that, they don't want that. But you could hand them a cookie or the bottle, which I'm sure had sweetness in it. Yeah, maybe we're teaching that early on, you know, because, you know, for a baby, their toy falls off the thing, and that's trauma. That's the worst trauma they're going to have for the day. And we'll put something in their mouth, or we'll give them a cookie, or we'll feed them just to satisfy them. So I don't know that we're not teaching that to our own kids. And I'm guilty party here. And then we put on TV shows and movies. Hey, you had something bad, eat a whole gallon of ice cream. So I don't, you know, maybe that's something that we're not giving enough credence to. And my point being, if I could explain to other people why, and this is going to sound terrible, and I don't mean this to sound as blunt as it's going to sound, but I don't need a coping mechanism anymore. Now that I have the carnivore zen, I don't get mad in traffic. I don't get mad when people cuss me out. I don't get mad if people flip me off. I don't get mad when I was working at Lowe's and I have customers come in and really give me a hard time over something I had no control over, like prices. Having that carnivore zen, I mean, it's almost like I have rose-colored glasses on. I still see reality. I know things could be better in a lot of ways. I just don't feel like I need a coping mechanism because I don't get upset. I don't get bothered. I'm always optimistic. I'm always happy. Where that was not the case at all. I used to have road rage like crazy. Now people cut me off. My wife's like, "You're just going to take that?" And I said, "Yeah, because they may be going to an emergency. I don't know what their situation is. I'm to the point now where I'm giving everybody else the benefit of the doubt, not to the point of being too passive, but you know, I don't get upset about things. And I don't know if that's true with every carnivore. I know Rick still gets frustrated at people and things because he talks about it in his videos. But for me, I just don't feel like I needed that coping mechanism like I did prior to going carnivore.
I'm a lot better than I used to be with things. I can tell you that much. Yeah, there's still things that get me upset, but I will say, like, especially driving in traffic and stuff like that used to just really stress me out and get upset. And there was a situation just a few weeks back where we were in really bad traffic or something like that. And I was just sitting there calm. And my wife's like, "How can you be calm right now?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just am." But it's like in the past, I wouldn't have been calm. So, you know, that's an interesting thing. There were some comments in here too. Like, let me find. So
Yeah,
Cynthia said that she thinks we as moms and dads reward our children with food and treats. I think that's definitely true.
yeah.
And why do we do it? Because that's kind of like what everybody tells you, right? That's like what you learn and stuff. And so I like this. Charlie says comfort steak.
Yeah.
I would definitely do that. And Rick said, "Give me a 2-pound steak and I'll be happy." That's how I am now. Like, you know, I talked about the story with the TV show, and the lady got home and she got out the ice cream and just started eating the ice cream. I would be like, if I was really sad about something or stressed out, I'd be the guy that go to get like a big tomahawk ribeye or something like that, and then go cook that and eat that. That's what I would do right now.
Well, Brian, I have a confession to make.
Mm-hmm.
I have, and I just realized this because I'm doing a lot of reflecting as you're talking here. I'm listening to what you're saying, but I'm doing a lot of reflecting. And this hadn't been the case for about a month, but there for a while, my comfort food was Philadelphia cream cheese. I would eat a big old slab of cream cheese. And it's a whole lot better than having a box of Krispy Kreme donuts, killing the whole box. And I've just really, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, given up cream cheese. I still have a little bit, but I think I was using cream cheese as a coping mechanism. I say much healthier than what I did before, but still, that's still something I was doing. And I'm just trying to be transparent. I gotta get me, and I have butter every now and then. I'll get me a big old chomp of Kerrygold butter, which is probably better than cream cheese. But I guess to some degree, I'm still using that coping mechanism. It's just maybe a healthier choice than the Oreo cookies or whatever.
So you talk about that for your coping mechanism. I said that I'd probably do tomahawk steak or something, right? Tomahawk ribeye. Rick says when his mom died, he went on a binge eating a whole chuck roast. So what does this tell you? We still do those things, but those are our comfort foods now.
Right? Great point. Great
but
point.
Somebody that doesn't eat this way, their comfort food is ice cream, that whole box of donuts that you were talking about, whatever. So we are still going to our comfort food. It's just that our comfort food happens to be healthy, not donuts or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
So
that's a great point, Brian. I guess we're all still doing it because Rick said binge, and that's a big word there, binge. Because I wouldn't have one cookie, I'd have the whole box of cookies. I wouldn't have one bite of Philadelphia cream cheese. I might eat the whole thing. So maybe it's more binge than sugar, but it's still, for whatever reason, that makes us feel at least temporarily better. But when my mom died, Rick, it was I gained 60 pounds in 60 days after my mom died. I gained 100 pounds in 3 months after my mom died. So that maybe the word binge is a better word. But yeah, if you're going to binge on a chuck roast or some ribeye.
Yeah. I want to go back to this one too. So Rick says, I never understood the need for restaurants. You know, here's the interesting thing. I think a lot with restaurants has to do with just socializing, that kind of thing, right? And so like my wife and I, before I did carnivore, that was like our big thing of how, and I think I've heard you talk about this before too, but that was like our big thing of how we'd go out and do things. It was usually centered around dinner. Maybe we were going to do something else too, but where were we going to go to eat? Where were we going to go to dinner? Like that was the big thing. I remember being young, you know, teenager, whatever, 18, 20, whatever. And when you were going to go on a date with a girl, usually it had something to do with going to a restaurant, right? So that's an interesting thing. Now, I've been traveling a lot in the last month here, the month of July. So I've been gone a lot, and obviously there's a lot of going to restaurants then. But there's been times when I've been back home, and my wife's still been down in South Carolina. She's coming back this weekend, so she's still not back home yet. But every time that I've been home here, it's usually just me and my son that are here. I have no need to go to a restaurant. So I've just been preparing my own food, and it hasn't bothered me at all. It's actually been better for me. And I noticed like when I went to South Carolina for a few days, that wasn't last week, the week before, I guess, because last week was when I got sick. Which, by the way, I don't know, I ate something bad or something because I was sick for like 36 hours or something like that. But anyway, so when I go down to South Carolina, I was like, you know, this kind of sucks because now I got to go out to eat with people because there's not a whole lot of food here, especially when there's a big group of people and stuff. So we're going to have to go out to eat. And when I was back home, I was just making my own food. So it seems like it's more of a what you're accustomed to for socializing is that you go and you do these different things. Now for Rick, he's been doing the carnivore diet for, I don't remember now. What are we at? 42
41
years?
41 or
41 years.
Yeah.
Okay. He's so used to doing that he probably, for him, it's not ingrained the same way to go to restaurants. But for somebody that just started the carnivore diet in the last few years, for me, it's been just over 3 years. For 48 years of my life, that's what I knew. When I was a kid, we were kind of poor, but my parents didn't want us to always feel like we were that poor. So once a month, we would go out to a restaurant. And that kind of probably started the whole ingrained thing of going to restaurants. But I knew once a month we got this treat of going to a restaurant. And then as I got a little bit older, I think we started doing this thing where Friday nights were pizza night and we'd get pizza. Obviously not the healthiest food in the world, but you know, so that was another thing that we used to do. So for years and years, that's what you learn. That's part of your social life, and it's hard to break that.
Yep.
Let's see, boy.
I will say this, Brian, while you go through the comments there, we live in North Carolina. Yeah, we live in North Carolina, and our kids are all grown and they're kind of spread out. My wife is retired. So a lot of times, because she's retired, she can travel and go visit with our kids and grandkids, which leaves me here alone. And when I'm here alone, I don't ever eat out. It's almost like it's a thing for she and I to do together, to go out to eat. But when I'm alone, I'll just grab me a steak or a hamburger patties and eat. And so I know Rick's a bachelor, until some lucky woman snags old Rick up and ties him down and marries him. If it were just me here, I would probably eat at home almost exclusively. So I can appreciate what Rick's saying. But like you said, for me and my wife, it's kind of it's our date. It's to go do something, and it usually revolves around going to one of our favorite restaurants.
Yep. There's a lot of comments to try and catch up, but I got a couple of them selected here. Cynthia said she's noticed less road rage and anger with her husband since going carnivore. Now he joins me when I say throw that person a pork chop. Yeah, it's funny. I had a situation just recently. This car was behind me, and I was I was going like 7 or 8 miles over the speed limit, and this guy was like right on my bumper, and it was, 2-lane road, one on each side, but double solid yellow, winding curves, and you couldn't go around people. And then we got up to the next thing and we turned left, and it was 4 lanes now, 2 lanes on each side. And the guy like whizzes past me and gives me this dirty look, and I'm just like sitting there. In the past, I would have been so pissed off. I would have been flipping him off and all this stuff. And I just kind of sit there, and I was like thinking to myself, that's nice. Hello. Poor you, though, because you're probably going to cause an accident or hurt yourself or something. But anyway. Charlie is a Colts fan, so I definitely feel for him. He's going to need some comfort steaks.
Yeah. Try being a Panthers fan, Charlie. Try being a Panthers fan. Just as bad, or if not worse.
It's going to get better someday, I think.
It has to.
I love Seaglass says, I loved carbs too. I'm Italian. I ate pizza and spaghetti 3 to 4 times a week. I haven't had spaghetti in over 2 years, but pizza I do every 8 to 12 weeks. I'm afraid to eat the spaghetti.
Yeah.
Yep. There are people that have great recipes out there for like a chicken crust or an egg crust or something like that to do pizza. I've actually done like where I've done chaffles and made them into like a pizza type of thing. So there's some pizza things you can do. I know it's not the same, and especially with you being Italian, you're going to say it's not the same, and I get it. But maybe just a few options out there to help you out with that. Oh, sorry, I keep knocking things over here. My cat's back. Oh, what is this? Guys, I hate to say this, but for most people, until they are desperate with some serious health condition or serious obesity, they will not listen to carnivore. Sad but true. Yeah.
Very true, Peter. Very true. Because that's where I was, and that's where Brian was. We were at rock bottom.
Yep, definitely. And there are, I'm not Dave Mack. I haven't interviewed 1,200 people or whatever like he has, but I've interviewed probably at least 20 to 30 people, I think, somewhere in there, maybe more, a little more. And most of the people that I interview, the reason that they end up going to carnivore is because they hit basically their rock bottom. Somebody else might not consider that a rock bottom for them, but for that person, that was their rock bottom. Rick is probably the exception. I don't think he ever hit rock bottom. He had an interesting story, and there was a reason why he went to carnivore, just like anybody else. But I don't know that his was quite the same. So, but yeah, that's how most people are. You're right. They got to hit that rock bottom. Rick wants to know, though, what a date is. He thinks it's a fruit from a palm tree. Let's see. Oh, we used to go to the Sweden House Smorgasbord. Do you want to know something, Rick? That was the second job I ever had, was working at Sweden House. So my first job actually was working at a grocery store. And this was the second job. So it was right after I graduated high school. I was 18. It was that summer. And there were a bunch of guys that were like my age. And we all kind of hung out and everything. And it was an interesting story. Apparently, I was not very good as a dishwasher. And one manager supposedly fired me. But one manager said, oh, this other manager fired you. That manager then said, no, I don't know anything about what you're talking about. I just wasn't on the schedule for like 2 weeks in a row. So I said, well, if you're not saying I'm fired, and then I'm just quitting at this point because I'm not on the schedule. So that was like my worst job experience ever, I think. But anyway, Sweden House, that place was crazy. It was like your buffet type style place, and I remember working there, and you basically got to eat whatever you wanted for free. Granted, that was when I was 18 and I was pretty active, so it didn't really affect me too much back then. But yeah, that was an interesting situation. Let's see. Well, there's a lot of comments in here.
Yeah.
Carnivore Dens.
Hey, Juliet.
Hello.
Juliet Marie. Yeah. Thanks for joining
Juliet
us.
Marie. Yep. Rick, I tell people I do not like eating donut. I do not like to eat donuts, but I like doing them.
Yeah, and his Charger Mopar.
Well, so is he doing it with his bike though? Because
Could be.
Rick likes to ride his bike. I'd like to see Rick at the next video he does on his bike. I want to see him doing donuts in the parking lot.
I would tell Rick to put an engine on his bike, but I'm just so impressed that he rides and rides and rides, and he never gets short of breath. He'll
I
ride
know it.
10
He's
miles
never
on that damn bike.
tired.
I mean, I'm in pretty good shape. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in, and I couldn't keep up with Rick for 10% of that. I would need to just let me take a break for a second. But Rick's amazing. That's why he's going to be such a great catch for some lucky woman.
Yeah. Oh, back about the Sweden House thing. Rick says Sweden House went out of business here in 1981. Yeah. So I worked there in 92. I don't know how much longer they were in business, but I'm thinking by mid to late 90s they were out of business in the area that I lived to. I lived in Toledo, Ohio. So it was in the Midwest, much different than where you're at. But yeah. Cynthia's chicken crust pizza. Has anyone here tried a ground chicken crust pizza? I have tried things like Scheffel's and the egg white based crusts, and I'm not crazy about them. I have not tried the chicken crust one. Have you, Johnny?
I haven't, but I did see a recipe where somebody actually used canned chicken. They bought a can of canned chicken, and they just drained it really well, chopped it up, and used that. And instead of trying to make their own chopped chicken, they just bought canned chicken, and it looks. I'm gonna try it. It looks good. I'm just so lazy. I just throw a couple of hamburger patties or some eggs. I need to be more adventuresome with my culinary skills there, like you do on the chaffles. But and I'm just so lazy. I'll just throw a couple of hamburger patties or throw a steak in the air fryer, and I'm done. But yeah, the canned chicken one. Actually, my wife and I were talking about that today. That if there was one of those recipes that we've seen, that would be the one I would like to try because it's easy. Just open the can, drain the chicken, and then follow the rest of the recipes. But I haven't tried it yet. Yeah, if you do, let us know. Let us know how it comes out. Find that recipe. I don't know if it was Chris Cooking Nashville or who it was. It was one of the people that we follow. Might have been Carnivore Ray, but used canned chicken as the binder, if you will, for the crust, and it looked really good. I know a lot of people do. I love pepperoni. I would just put a ton of cheese and pepperoni on there, and at least that way you would have something to hold on to. If you just use cheese and pepperoni, you just got a greasy mess. But if you made the canned chicken or the chicken crust for the pizza, at least you'd have something to hold on to. Eat it like a regular slice of pizza. But that's just my laziness coming out and not wanting to go through all the trouble.
I get pretty lazy with it too. But I gotta tell you, like most of the stuff that I do is simple. It's maybe not as easy as just throwing something on the grill real quick, but chaffles are so easy that they get done quicker than cooking something on the grill too. Like some of the soups and stuff that I do recipes with, they're really easy. Like there's not a lot to them. I'm not a Chris Cooking Nashville type of guy that can come up with these crazy recipes and do all these different things. Like that's not me at all. In fact, when I do these recipes, a lot of times it's not that often. Most of the time it's really a steak or burgers or ground beef or something like that. Yeah. And that's it. So let's see. So Rick does his donuts on an ATV in a Bobcat. That ought to be interesting.
Yeah.
A Bobcat. Bike was more wheelies, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
Last week I tried Chris Cook's Nashville thin crust Chicago pizza. And no, it didn't appeal to me like a few of his recipes, but I haven't found any bread-like thing that is worth it. Luckily, I am not a very, very big bread person. My wife is, And that's one of the things she said that like was really hard for her if she was going to go carnivore, was that she likes bread too much. I'm not that big of a bread person. Like we'll go out to eat at like a steakhouse or something, and they always give you bread, and I don't get tempted usually for the bread or anything. I just sit there, and she'll be, cut up a piece, put some butter on it. A little bit later, she takes another piece, put some butter on it. It doesn't seem to affect me at all. Like I don't have to do that with bread. That's not my weak spot. My weak spot is something really sweet. That's where I got to stay away.
Yeah.
So I am actually caught up on comments. I skipped over a lot of comments, but I tried to get some of the good ones. Oh, wait, maybe I should.
A bunch of them just popped up, Brian.
I missed this. Johnny, I just heard you tell the story about your wife telling the tour guide woman who's got early dementia about carnivore. That's incredible. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very proud of my wife. Very proud of her.
Yeah. Wham a wheelie bar to start with. That's when he was talking about the bike. So it's funny because like I'll go on Facebook and I try to keep a good presence on Facebook, and I got that Facebook group and stuff, and I'll go on Facebook, and for some reason I've been getting all these memes that are showing up like from like the 80s or the 70s and the 80s and stuff as kids, and like you'll see these where there's this kid like basically jumping on his bike over something, or somebody was like on a swing, like the old time swings and stuff, and how they would like get up really high and then they jump off the swing and stuff, and they're like, how did we all survive that?
True.
That is funny. Okay, so wait, there are more that popped in here that I missed. Let's see. Rick hates bread. Always hated bread.
No, that's the late news.
I don't do those carnivore look-alike recipes like carnivore pizza, ice cream, etc. It just makes me want the real thing. That's
Great
another
point,
problem too. Yeah. Like, so Dr. Kiltz, he's great. I've actually been on his show at like 6 a.m. once before. That was really early for me. I'm not a very morning person, but he's great. But I will say he's got this ice cream thing that everybody raves about, and I did a review on it, and it was okay. I wasn't that impressed with it, and I'm like thinking to myself, and I think I even said this in the review when I did the video, like I'd rather eat a steak than this. So but Peter puts a good point here too. Like there are people out there that if they eat something like that, it's going to kind of make their signals in their brain get a little mixed up, and they want to have the real thing that has the sugar and all that in it.
Yep.
Some people can do that, some people can't.
And Peter, for me, what I found is the longer I stay carnivore, the less and less I do that. I made Dr. Kilt's ice cream. I made a bunch of it early on because I thought I would miss ice cream, and it was a way for me to have something that I, comfort that I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to grieve. But, now here lately, I just don't care about any of that stuff. I've just gotten to where just give me a steak or hamburger patty. I had pork. We went to a barbecue restaurant tonight, and I actually had pulled pork with no sauce on it. It was really good, but I've just got to where I've kind of gravitated almost on accident to more, I'll say a modified lion diet. It's just really beef and eggs. I know eggs aren't part of the lion diet, but I eat ground beef. I found a great deal on this grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef, and I'm finding that I can afford to eat a lot of it. I still have sour cream. I mix sour cream in my ground beef sometimes. But when I first started, Brian, I don't know about you, but I was thinking about all those look-alike recipes. That way I wouldn't have to give up all this stuff. But I'm at the point now, I'm getting my steaks more and more. Like I had a medium rare steak the other day, Brian. You'd be proud of me. I had a hamburger at a restaurant in Asheville yesterday and asked for it just medium. And it was medium would be generous. It was almost medium rare hamburger, and it was delicious. So, the longer I stay carnivore and the better I feel and the more clarity of my brain that I have, the less I want to do those lookalike recipes. I'm not casting aspersions on those that want to do that and try it. It's just I've kind of lost interest in all that, which is really, really weird. I just want to eat a hamburger patty or some steak, a couple of eggs, and I'm done for the day.
Well, that segues great into what Cynthia put here. She said, I have no problem not eating bread, but alas, my husband says carnivore is boring. I'm trying to make it more interesting. And I think there's a lot of people that are like that early on. They're like, it's boring just eating the same thing, eating the meat. And they just need to get to a point where I think over time, they're going to get to a point where they don't feel that's necessarily boring anymore. Now, for me, it wasn't really a problem because even before I knew of carnivore and that's the way that I should be eating, I could eat a steak every day. Like that would be like the best thing in the world to me. Even when I was like 25 years old or something, I would have been like, yeah, that would have been great if I could eat a steak every day. Of course, back then I was like, I shouldn't because it's bad for me, right? Because I didn't know any better. That's what everybody told me. But, I've always been that way. So like now I can eat beef, whether it's ground beef or steak or whatever, every day, and it's fine. I do add things every once in a while here and there, but there are a lot of other people, I guess. So the point being that they really do need variety. But as I talk to different people, it seems like after they've been on the carnivore diet for a certain amount of time, and it's different for everybody, but after a certain amount of time, they seem to have less of that feeling of boredom with it, and they're better with just eating a couple different foods, and that's it. I love Seaglass says eating pork rinds with butter right now.
That's a great snack.
It is, when you're feeling cravings, especially if you're early on, because I think that either early on or you had like a little bit of a relapse where you ate some foods you shouldn't, that's usually when the cravings get the worst. And in those situations, you tend to want a snack in the evening because of the cravings. So things like pork rinds, bacon, butter, those are all good things that you can eat that are going to fill you up and keep you from wanting to eat those bad things. So this is interesting. My pacemaker pizza does not make me want regular pizza. And then I agree with Cynthia here. What is in your pacemaker pizza? That's what I want to know. Is that kind of like his heart attack cheeseburger or something? I don't know. I want to know what it is.
Well, I tell you, Rick could do an entire series on his channel of all these different recipes and the names he comes up with.
Here you go. He's got it here. Deep fried crust made with white meat chicken, eggs, and cheese. Pizza has cheese and ground beef with optional sausage, sardines, or shrimp. I'd probably go with the shrimp if I'm going to do that instead of sardines, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I've had sardines before. I don't need to really eat them again. So
one and done, huh?
I've done it a couple times, but one time on video. I don't know what I missed here. Johnny, it is not weird. You became like me.
Yeah, to where I just don't even want. I don't even
want to eat other. Okay, yeah, yep, got it. Yep.
And Brian, one thing too, and this was for me, and that maybe for you, and like you said, it's different for everybody. But I don't have like my best friend that's here right now, Joey. He came to this area about a year ago, and he's like, "Hey, Johnny, let's get together and go to lunch one day." And I was really doing carnivore. I was really strong. I was doing well. And I said, Joey, instead of getting together and going to lunch, let's get together and go for a walk. Because the norm is get together and eat, get together and eat. So instead of going to lunch that day, he and I went down by the canal. And we actually did a 10-mile walk in July. It may have been June of last year. And I actually had him on my video just briefly. He did a little spot for me at the end of the video. But we did a 10-mile walk in lieu of going and getting something to eat. But the natural tendency is if you're going to get together and socialize, the first thing you think of is what restaurant can we go to? And I'm at the point now where I don't think about food that often. I think about something fun to go do. Where before, I tried to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, that's why it doesn't seem boring to me. It almost seems like it gets in the way of life. Oh, crap, I'm hungry. I need to eat something real quick. I want to eat, get it over with, and get back on to something else. Where when I first started and before I went carnivore, I thought about food all the time. Now I wish I didn't have to eat at all. I would never even eat. I would just work out, run sprints, do YouTube, hang out with my wife, work in the yard. So eating has become less and less of a priority for me. I mean, I know we have to do it or we'll die, but yeah, I can see how it would be boring at first. Thinking, well, I'm going to eat 3 meals a day and it's always going to be steak or hamburgers or chicken. But when you get to the point where I've reached at 2 years in, where if I didn't have to eat, I wouldn't eat at all. I just do it because you have to eat to survive, because it's so far down on my priority list anymore that it doesn't seem boring because it's not something I'm constantly thinking about. And maybe, Cynthia, maybe your husband will get there eventually. Maybe not, but maybe he'd be like me and I just eat that 1 meal a day. I try to eat till I'm comfortably stuffed, and then I don't want to do anything with food until maybe the next day and maybe 2 days later, because I got things I got to do, and it doesn't involve eating.
Yeah. We've talked about this a little bit throughout the video today, the live stream. But it's interesting because you mentioned how first thing that everybody thinks of when they're going to get together with people is to go to a restaurant. And it's true. It's like either let's get together, go someplace to eat, or let's go somewhere to drink, right? It's always one of those two things. Like, and that kind of goes back to points I was making earlier too. Like, that's what's been ingrained in us for so long. Like, that's what we want to do. And when you want to eat something like the carnivore diet, those things go against the ideology of the carnivore diet. And so now we're against the mainstream, and people look at it as weird because we don't want to go out and drink just to meet our friends and so forth, for instance, right? I know some people that do carnivore probably do drink a little bit. It's a gray area because it's not good for you. There's a lot of sugar in drink, alcoholic drinks and so forth. But anyway, so that kind of goes back to the whole thing with the hesitancy. Like, people are like, well, it's too restrictive. It's, why do you want to do something that you can't go out with friends and drink or whatever? And now for me, it's funny because especially when I was younger, I used to drink a lot. And it wasn't until later that I found, well, for one thing, drinking probably brought on AFib for me as I got older. But yeah, but the other thing is, like, I found every time I drink, I get a sinus infection. It's like the histamines or whatever gives me a sinus infection. It's probably happened my entire life, and I just never knew because I was always getting sinus infections and so forth. And I just thought I was getting sick. But the last time I had a sinus infection was a year ago. Guess what? It was when I went on a cruise and I drank 2 nights in a row. So, and the last time before that was before carnivore. So,
Yeah. Let's catch up on these comments, Brian.
Yeah. He ate 2 big chicken leg quarters.
Yeah.
Going back to the grieving for cookies, chocolate, muffins, cakes, pies, bread, Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
And ice cream.
That's me, yeah.
Yeah, and ice cream. And then Cynthia asked if he has a desire for sweets. Peter says yes.
Yeah. Peter's just being honest. He's just being transparent,
Yeah.
I guess I still do at some point in time. I'm just at the point now where I can pretty much always say, no, thank you. Rick, is iguana seafood? Is that considered seafood?
I don't know. You know what? I like a lot of seafood too. And here's the thing. Like, I'll tolerate sardines. I really don't want to eat them, but I'll tolerate them. The biggest thing is that they gotta smell. And then my wife gets upset and she's mad because I've stunk up the whole house, that kind of stuff. But here's an interesting thing. Tuna fish. Used to hate it. Hate it. I've actually had it now since I've been on carnivore, and it's fine. Yeah. I can eat it. It's no problem. It's weird. Peter had heart attack chicken for dinner.
Awesome. Way to go, Peter. Rick, I still got to try it, except for the fact that I'm eating beef every day.
So you're not eating any chicken or pork or anything like that at all?
Well, I
Just
had
a little
pork
bit of
tonight.
eggs and beef, right?
Yeah, I had pork tonight because we took our guest out to a local barbecue restaurant. It had the barbecue pork with no sauce on it. But pretty much it's just, and I think it gets back to, one, I don't care about eating anymore, and two, I'm just lazy. And I got a really good deal on some ground beef and some smaller steaks. And yeah, I haven't had, it's been a while since I had chicken, a long while. And I'm not averse to chicken. I wouldn't mind having some chicken thighs. And maybe when the weather turns, Brian, you know, you and I don't live that far apart, but down here in Charlotte, man, we've had multiple days, 100, 101 degrees with a heat index of 112 or 114. And I just don't want to fire up the oven or anything. And I know I could do chicken in my air fryer, but maybe I'll do more experimenting and more recipes when the weather changes and it gets colder and we can fire up the oven or whatever. But here lately, it's just been so miserable hot. And I know Rick's laughing at me right now because he's in that kind of weather all the time. But it's been unseasonably warm the last probably 3 weeks. And I just want to cook something quick, eat, and clean up my mess and get on with life. No chicken in a long time.
Yeah. It's funny because, you know, I had said that I've been pretty much home eating whatever at the house and so forth. And with being home, and just worrying about myself for eating, I've been trying to think, and maybe it's not fully just beef, but it's almost all beef for me right now too. It's been a lot of steak. I actually went to Costco a couple weeks ago, and the big slabs of ribeye was like 50 cents a pound more than the New York one. So I got the ribeye, of course. So I've been eating ribeyes here. Usually I end up making the New York strips out of the New York loin because it's at least a few dollars a pound cheaper usually.
Sure.
So I don't know. I'll have to see the next time I go because actually I'm starting to get low now that I think about it. But, and the other thing I guess I've been doing, which some people might get annoyed by me saying and say, oh, that's not completely carnivore. But you know how I had the issue with the antibiotic in my gut and so forth. I've been eating some yogurt, like some plain yogurt and some cottage cheese. I've been going with, what's it called? Good Culture, I think.
Yeah.
It's grass-fed cows, you know, so it's the milk or whatever from them, milk and cheese or whatever from grass-fed cows. So it's not too bad. And I've been eating that stuff to kind of help with restoring my gut again. Sure. So I've been adding that with my beef, but I haven't even been eating that much eggs lately. It's been pretty much beef. Like I got a dozen eggs a week ago, and I think I still have 8 in there.
Oh, wow.
So I haven't been eating the eggs. It's been mostly beef.
Just for the record, I had a dozen eggs for breakfast.
There was a time period there for a while, for probably 6 months, I was eating 6 to 10 eggs every day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I go through streaks, I guess, with eggs. Sometimes I eat them and sometimes I don't. So Cynthia made a batch of cookies a few months ago for her boys and had one. She had to admit that I thought about them the whole time they were sitting there until they took them home.
Yeah. That's addiction. That's what it is for me anyway.
Yeah. Heart attack chicken is one of Rick's favorites. Let's see. If there were any left, I promise you would eat every single one left.
Yeah.
I hope not. I've been known for tossing something in the compost pile, even when they were perfectly good, just because they called to me too loud. So here's a funny story. When my daughter was here before moving down to South Carolina a few weeks back, she had bought Oreo cookies. So there were Oreo cookies in the pantry. And this was, I think, after the first time that we were down there moving them, and I came back. So I was back here by myself and just me and my son. And I saw them in the pantry. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. Next day, I think I had to get something out for my son that I was going to make for him. And I saw him in the pantry again. I was like, all right, I'm going to have one. And I started to eat one, and they were like stale or something from being in there too long. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. So I ended up throwing them away. But if it wasn't stale, I was going to eat that whole damn cookie, and that wouldn't have been good. Would not have been good. So, and here I am 3 years on the carnivore diet, and I still have those times. Like, you know, there are people out there, they'll say like, I can eat something every once in a while and I'm fine. There's some people that'll do like this weekend thing where they'll have like one cheat meal on the weekend or whatever, or they'll just occasionally have something and they're fine. I can't be that person. Anytime I have something I shouldn't, I just crave and I want to keep eating that stuff. So I have to completely stay away. I know everybody's different, but that's how I am. I have to just completely abstain from it. It's like being an alcoholic, right? You're not going to drink alcohol again, not even just a little bit of it. And that's how it is for me with carbs, you know, with cookies, stuff like that. I have to completely stay away, because if I eat just one, then tomorrow I'm going to want two. The next day I'm going to want three, you know? Oh, this was, did I bring this out? Oh, did I say? Yeah, I did say so. Okay. That's right. She
Yeah, you
threw
already
them
talked
out.
about it. Yeah.
So that's saying good
And
for
then
you.
Peter said good for you. That's great.
Yep. And I've said before, my why is just too important to let cookies ruin me.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up why. I recorded a couple hours ago my video for Friday, and I talk about the why again in my video. I like to talk about that because I think that is so important for people. There are so many people that I hear from that say carnivore just didn't work for me, or I'm struggling, whatever. And, you know, I try and help people out. So I might hit them up, message them or something on Facebook or whatever, and be like, hey, maybe I can help you a little bit. You know, what is your why? And they either don't have one, or it's just something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, because I'm overweight, I know I need to lose weight. And it's like, but that's not a really good why, right? But that is true. Like, so many people that struggle, they don't even have that. And I'm not saying that having a really good why is it. Like, you're not going to have problems, but it's going to make it so much better for you, I think. And there's a lot of people that are going to be able to have more success because they have that why that they can remind themselves of, and so forth. So I think that's an important topic, and that's why I got another video coming out about it on Friday.
Cool beans. Well, Brian, we've been on for an hour and 23 minutes.
Yeah. It's been a while again.
Yep.
So it's great getting back into things, right? It had been like a month for me. We'll be back again next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll come up with a new topic. Johnny's really good at coming up with topics, so he might be the one coming up with the topic again. We'll see. Maybe I can actually come up with one. Occasionally I come up with one. But we'll have another good topic. And yeah, anything you want to add before we leave, before we drop? Johnny?
I'll just say one thing. This came to mind a while ago. I talked about I've been eating a lot of beef lately. And I know people go on the lion diet and they say that's when they really find their nirvana, if you will. And I didn't think about that. But in the last 3 or 4 weeks, Brian, I'm hitting on all 8 cylinders. I just feel so good. I feel so energetic. My sprints are getting better. My push-ups are getting better. And it might be because I've eliminated chicken and pork. That just occurred to me 15 minutes ago. And that might be it. So maybe we'll expand on that going forward. If there's any true carnivore foods, this is for next week or maybe the next week, that are truly carnivore, but maybe don't work well for you. Because I'm telling you, man, here the last 3 or 4 weeks, I have just been feeling the best ever. And the only thing I can contribute that to is that I've cut out some of the other carnivore foods and pretty much just doing beef. I did have some yogurt yesterday too. We were at a hotel in Western North Carolina yesterday morning, and they had eggs and sausage, and I had two plain yogurts. They had the little refrigerator, and that's the first time I've had yogurt. But in my opinion, yogurt is carnivore, as is cheese. So anyway, Brian, I was glad to have you back, man. I've missed you like crazy. We've been communicating back and forth offline and on Facebook and stuff, but I'm so glad to have you back, for the two of us to be back together. I want to say thanks. She'll probably watch this in replay. Cristie, who stepped in last week on short notice to fill in for you. She was amazing, as always. And anyway, Brian, I'm going to get out of here, and I've got company waiting for me downstairs.
All right.
So I'm going to go visit with my company, and we will see you next Wednesday. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Fantastic conversation tonight. Fantastic.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Ah.